Hey guys, I'm here in another one of these, sit down talk. I don't know why I have to explain it every time. Here I am back for another one of these videos, and this one is one that I actually named based off of, all of them are based off of different movie shows, different media things, but this is gonna be my first one that I come into with the name kind of guiding the discussion. But I named this one Time to Pretend because I've been listening so much to MGMT. Anyone around me knows that they are heavily influencing my album right now. But the song Time to Pretend has been just hitting home right now. Like when you're younger, you just hear those songs and they sound beautiful, but now that I'm older, those lyrics are gonna hit different than before. So the premise of that song, to put it in pretty simple terms, is kind of like them talking about how, like all young people at my age, I heavily resonate with this song. So I believe that they were super young when writing this album, so this song kind of was like them saying like, yo, we're young, like who wants to live till the future anyway, let's just run this music stuff up and go crazy, marry models, like divorce them, get new ones, like we're lit, we're gonna become rock stars. And that's how everyone is in their music journey at the beginning, and that's how young people are. Like we don't see into the future. We haven't been here long enough to understand that, we haven't been sentient enough to understand that, like, oh, we have to live for more than these little 10 years, 20 years, that we've been here. It's hard to conceptualize a future, especially right now. Conceptualizing the future as someone who's watching the present crumble down has been crazy, but let's stick to one topic first and then I'll get to that. This is when I become a professional, when my legs start getting crossed. I'm all like, so what'd you come here for? Like I'm a therapist. But basically, yeah, the song's premise is them slowly talking about, how as young people they kind of have no other choice besides, to be lit, turn up. If they live fast, die young is like the thing. And they even say in the song, yeah, it's overwhelming, but what else can we do? Get jobs at offices and wake up for the morning commute? ? They're like, what are we gonna do besides be lit? Like go to work in an office, which that's like the quintessential thing that a teenager is like, I don't want to work in an office space, I want to do this and blah blah blah. And that song has been resonating with me because I'm literally in that era right now where I'm like, let's get lit, make music. But I am someone that has to look for the future because I want to be comfortable. Even doing anything I love, if it's not making me comfortable, and not comfortable as in like I feel complacent in it. Like I'm good at being uncomfortable if it means something new is on the horizon, but I mean uncomfortable in the sense of like living paycheck to paycheck. Like I can't sustain myself and I'm feeling mental anguish because I can't, I just don't feel comfortable where I am in that current moment. But the real topic of this whole thing is going to be imposter syndrome. The Time to Pretend choice as the title is kind of more so to speak about not my take on imposter syndrome, but kind of like how I've been navigating it and how it pertains to me as an artist. But imposter syndrome, we fight. we really fight. It's something that it makes me feel like I have, the Green Goblin voice that people are always talking about, like making jokes about, like that whisper in the back of your head there, you're like, who is this? That is imposter syndrome. I'll be in the middle of making a song and in my head I'm like, yo, this is the best thing that's ever been written ever. Like who's seeing me? Like who's doing this like me? Who's gonna do this like me? Like whoever did it like me? Whoever did this? And then in the back of my head they're like, this shit is trash. Like we don't even know why you're hyped up about this. Like this is really not that good. I don't know what you're talking about. Are you even qualified to like have that pen in your hand? Are you even qualified to be pulling beats off YouTube? Like wait a minute, who even are you? And then I'm like, isn't that crazy how we are our own villains. I've never seen any. My storage just shut that hole. Even my storage was like, girl, we're not even going to talk about this because you don't need to be bringing up the enemy right now. But imagine you throw a treat for your dog and the dog is in its head like, yo, I don't even deserve this treat. Like, I feel like humans are the only people that do that. And you know why? It's because we do that to each other. I don't think people give credit to how much we are responsible for the way we think. Like, when people say comparison is the thief of joy, is the biggest thief of joy, it makes me it makes me like I understand it, but the reason we compare is because people compare. Like, it's so interesting. I see this take with music because I've just been studying the rise of all these beautiful musicians coming out of the woodwork today. And I think we're getting our next round of people. Like, right now, it looks kind of like dismantled, but I think we're low key getting our next generation. Hopefully, I slide into that soon. That is what I'm playing for. I'm My time will come and I'm calm, but I'm watching the game right now. Like, I feel like this is like watching chess players play right now, and I'm just sitting by the board just taking in all this information so that when it's my time to play my game, I know how to make these moves. But like, it's interesting seeing people be like, comparison is the biggest thief of joy. Like, don't compare another person's journey to blah 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 blah. Do this blah blah blah. And then when an artist comes out, they're like, oh, this person sucks. They're gonna be nothing like this person who's been in the industry for like 30 years with a whole team behind them. Like, of course, this new artist isn't gonna be comparable to. It's okay. I'm here. He gets so sad. He's gonna open the door behind me. Oh. Did he get in? A fellow, no, stay outside. But yeah, it's crazy. We're compare like you can't compare an Ice Spice to a Nicki Minaj. You can't compare a Tyla to a Rihanna. Like, and it's not only you can't compare it because you can't, like, this person, you can't compare a Chloe to a Beyonce. Like, yes, these are people that can fill the void of those people or eventually, live long enough to see the same success. But you can't, this person is out here with 3 songs and you're comparing them to Nicki Minaj. And you know why these people get so vexed? Because, are you kidding me? I fought for my life. These vets are probably like pissed. I fight for my life for years against the people in the industry, out the industry, my family. Like, this feels like the Hunger Games. The music industry is the Hunger Games. I fought for 40 years to see where I am at today. And you came out with some one hit and they're saying you're me. You know how insulting the music industry has gotten? Like, we are so hungry to just like cannibalize each other that we can't let people grow. That's the reason we haven't been seeing success from so many people. It's not because they're not talented or they don't have it. We just want to take something, be like, wow, so cute, and be done with it. We're like kids. We want a new toy to play with every 5 seconds. We're so indulgent. And so I think, sorry, this has been my most interrupted video. But yeah, you can't compare people that have been here forever to new artists, and it's doing a disservice to the newer artists and the older artists because no one can sink into their art. They're too busy competing with, their perceived value through another artist or charts. That's why everyone is especially chart obsessed, because now you have to be able to take out the direct competition or the thing that people, they're comparing you to something, so you have to compete with something. There's always been the energy in music, but not in this way where it's like, if you don't match this level, you're off the chopping block. It's crazy. But imposter syndrome, I deal with it on my level by gaslighting myself, which I guess imposter syndrome is gaslighting yourself, but I have to ungaslight myself. And I think it's just knowing that, at the end of the day, there's something to be an imposter about, because you are yourself and you are doing the craft that you want to do and that you say you're doing well. So that's it. Like, at the end of the day, like, objectively, art is art if it's art to you, or it can be perceived as art. So I try not to stress too much about, like, oh my God, what if this is bad? What if this is good? I'm like, there are things out there that I objectively think are horrible, should not be getting any sort of attention from the public, like, in any way, shape, or form. That's like funding people's lives. That has to count for something. So whenever I'm feeling like, oh my God, why are you doing this? Is this even possible? Like, are you even capable of this? what's happening. I'm like, there are people that did it. It's been done. So let's pedal to the metal. And, there's not like get rich or die trying. Like, you know what I mean? There's nothing to lose. Like, I'm really in my head, I'm like, yo, there's no going back. Like, on some Kanye West, like, my brain's like, there's no way we could really lose because you just have to you. I keep telling people to read The Alchemist because I just recently reread it. Main character's name is my last name, by the way, so feeling a little smug about that, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, rereading The Alchemist really, it's funny because the book is about, following signs and how the universe will always lead you to the thing that you're dreaming of. Like your dreams are only dreams because you can touch them. Like you can reach them. They're things that you're thinking about because they're things that can happen, and the universe will do everything in its power to get you to that goal, is what The Alchemist is basically saying. And it says that although times get tough, that's just the universe testing you to see how badly you want this thing that's waiting for you on the other side. And so, it's about listening to signs, seeing things, or meeting people that just feel at the right place at the right time to reassure you that you're on the path. And even I think that book was an omen because there were so many things in it that directly correlated to my life, like down to, this analogy that Santiago kept being told about of these miners who would be mining, and right as they stopped, on the other side, the emerald gems that they were looking for were right there, and something about the universe like gave them a sign, and so they kept going and found it. And my project is literally called Emeralds, and I'm over here once again my storage. But as I was saying, yeah, sometimes I tell myself just like, why am I even funding this? Like, I can't afford to be funding this anymore. Like, oh my God, why am I getting other people involved with this vision? Because I don't even know if I could take this all the way. Then I think to myself, why wouldn't I? Seriously. Like, oh, but the percentage of this and the chance of this and blah, blah. Someone did it. That's all I need. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I feel crazy. And I'm usually not irrational. And like when I was a kid, I never got peer pressure into doing things I didn't want to do. I never cared about climbing this rock or climbing that mountain or showing that I was the coolest person on the jungle gym. Like from when I was young, I would be like, okay, if you guys want to do dangerous things, cool. Like I support that. But with music and just with my career in general, like anything, if I want to do something, why can't it be done? I just don't understand it. I saw this person do it. That person just did it. I'm seeing in news articles people are doing this. I'm like telling people I want to be on kids' TV shows. Like I want to meet Elmo. And it's funny because I've been talking about how I want to do that. Guys, if I manifest being on Yo Gabba Gabba, that would be crazy. Because I swear to God, the beginning of this year, I was obsessed with Yo Gabba Gabba. I would watch old episodes and saw they do musical performances, and that's actually how I got lured back into really studying MGMT's album, because I found out they were on an episode, and I was like, I have to watch that. But I was like, I need to be on this show. I don't know how, because the show is literally canceled. In my head, I was like, I'm gonna be on this show. They're doing a reboot. They just announced a reboot like last month. That's crazy. But yes, I say this to say, Othello, I feel bad. Fine. I say this to say that imposter syndrome, I deal with it by completely cutting it down. Like, if any seeds of that start sprouting, I shut them down. Even in my friends, my significant other, whenever we're like, oh, should we even be doing this? I'm like, just cut it out because we have to. Like, we have to. And it's not that simple, and it's really not that easy, but that's why this is called Time to Pretend, because you have to really use that imagination. I talk about this in the first video, like imagination, if you can't dream about a reality that you don't have, how do you expect to get out of anything that you're in? How do you expect to move forward? No one would change the world with that mindset. If you can't imagine something as different, whether it even be bad or good, if you can't imagine something as different than it is, how do we get innovators? How do we get excitement? How do we, like when I write a song, I'm like, oh, this is sounding like, I love it, but will they understand it? I rephrase that and I'm like, this is something that no one's ever heard before. No one's done it. It sounds familiar, but instead of being like, oh, will people accept it? Who has ever gotten critical acclaim for doing something that, is the same? So many people have, actually. But the ones who push that step, like people like David Bowie, Freddie Mercury, like when I watched the Queen movie, they're bringing this guy Bohemian Rhapsody, and he's like, "This is stupid. No one's gonna play a 6 minute song on the radio. Like, are you guys dumb?" Everyone played that song on the radio. It's amazing, and it's an incredible song. Bohemian Rhapsody is one of the best songs of all time. And someone sat there and told him, "No one wants that. You don't want that, and because you don't have an imagination, you don't see it. Don't ever in your life let anyone with no imagination, no drive, no money, no nothing, no anything, even if they have money, if they don't have that spark, just don't even listen to them." Like, I've had people give me critiques of my music that are either just so out of my reach. They're like, "Oh, this or that," and blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, but at the end of the day, did you make it? You don't like it? Like, what else? You know what I mean? What can that do for you? I just don't understand it. Like, I understand critiques of, like, mixing or things that genuinely can push you. Like, I'm not anti-critique. If someone's like, "Oh, this could have been this," and blah blah blah, and I'm like, all right, I could see that, or you're right, I could have added that, or next time I'll expand on this. But when people are like, "Oh, I don't like the auto tuning use," and blah blah blah, like, that was artistic choice. So now what? Like, that's great. I'm glad that it invoked something in you that you listened so closely that you found that you didn't enjoy something. But you can't. There are 8 billion people on the planet. You can't please everyone. And I've been kind of, with my imposter syndrome, just cutting it down so that when I get to that point where I'm on a large scale and those comments are coming in from the outside sources, I just am bulletproof to that. Like, on some Kanye West, like, you can't literally say anything to me because I can do whatever I want. I can do anything, and no words will tell me to stop doing what I'm doing or what I'm about to do or what I might have did yesterday. Like, you know what I mean? Um, yeah, imposter syndrome. I also think this is another theory that maybe I'll talk about in another episode. But I also think that's why a lot of celebrities are narcissistic because, like, no offense, think about someone like a Kim Kardashian, like, they're bulletproof to criticism because you have to, like, that skin over time. Everyone your whole life is calling you names all day. Like, this woman's career is being bullied and harassed. Like, let's be honest, it's being bullied and harassed. How are you even taking that? By absorbing it. You're not letting it hit you, you're absorbing it. You're like, okay, I am this thing. And she's so good at that. She's so good at reclaiming what people tell her she is and being shameless with it. She's like, okay, you're saying I'm this, look at this bod. You know what I mean? You're looking at my BBL, look at this, the waist is cinched. Maybe I am. Maybe this is. Like, you know what I mean? So it makes it impossible. People like her, Kanye West, people that just can't even take criticism, like, you see them get bashed constantly, but they're like, eh, that's how you become invincible. And I think that's why a lot of celebrities are narcissistic, because they're on such a high pedestal where they're hearing millions of people clobber at them every day, every second of every day. It's high pressure. So they have no other choice but to put up that shield and be like, you know what? I'm the best. I'm the best, and shut up, because they have to. If you take one insult, if you take one bad thought, it straight up kills the others. Bad thoughts deteriorate good thoughts. So one thing of criticism, that's why a lot of them can't, or just so out of touch with reality, because they're like, I genuinely can't hear anyone talk about me anymore. I'm done. And that's, sorry guys, I literally have to wrap up this video in 5 seconds because my phone is done with me. My phone is like, cut it off, shut it down tonight. Like, a parent, they're like, give me your phone right now. But basically, that is why we have to pretend, we have to fake it till you make it. And it's really serious, because if you're faking it and you start believing it, other people are going to be like, and that's what it is. Like Lady Gaga said, I've always been famous, you just haven't known me. And that's so real. Anyway, imposter syndrome, stop having it, because if you're alive, you're an individual, the idea is something that you want to do. Why not just do it? Put it out there, see if people like it. What's the problem? What are we losing? We're not losing much. You know what I mean? You've one life. I always think about this. I'm like, if my music never, ever takes off and I die and someone goes back to the album and they're like, yo, this was a human that, like, did incredible things and had an incredible mind and was so vulnerable and blah, 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 and this has just been sitting here, that is something that would make me so happy. That happens. I'm ready for it all. But if you know you're doing something and you're enjoying what you're doing with this one life, that's the least you could do for yourself, instead of constantly living for other people. Every day we live for other people. Every dollar we make is for another person. Every piece of air that we breathe is okay. But yeah, imposter syndrome is bad. Sorry, I'm speaking fast. They're going to cut me off again. No more imposter syndrome. Okay, I gotta go. Bye.